Good evening, everybody. Hope we're doing fantastically well. And we've made it. It's the last game week of the season. It's been it feels like a long one, but I think it's because it's been a crazy year with all the COVID crowds, COVID postponements. It's been a crazy one to get through in general and actually try and negotiate all the game weeks. But so it's been definitely a challenging one. We'll probably never see an FPL season like this one, but hopefully I've helped you through the latter stages of it, and we'll be back again next year to hopefully improve on the advice we give and hopefully improve everyone's teams as well. We'll do some off-season videos as well, just that and build up to FPL. That's the plan. But before we get into that, we've got to deal with the last game week of the season and hopefully try and jump above in as many leagues as we can. For example, I know in one of my mini leagues, I think I'm 6 points behind, so I need like a little bit of a jump to get the result I want to get. But we'll dive into that. As I mentioned at the start of every video, make sure you check us out on Twitter and Twitch, which are both linked just at the side here. And we will jump straight into it. Right, so as you can see, last game of the season, which is pretty standard, you will see on the last game week of the season, everyone plays at the same time on the same day, which I think everyone actually will enjoy because I think one thing about the COVID situation is every game has been on TV, so they've had to stagger the kickoff times, which I've found quite annoying at times. I've kind of missed the 3 o'clock kickoffs. So it's nice to actually have them all at the same time, and it'll be a proper like Super Sunday, or if we're going to watch Sky Sports for all the updates, that'll be back to kind of normal, what we'll like to see. But if we run through the fixtures as we normally do. So, starting with Arsenal against Brighton, which is it? There's going to be a few, as we always have, that are quite difficult to pick out good FPL assets. So this is a good opportunity if you want to go differential to go for an Arsenal asset in hope that they'll get a few. For example, Pepe did quite well in the last game. So if you're feeling on that risky side, then there are options for you to go for an Arsenal asset here. Yet you'll have the risk that they might get rotated. So that's what puts me off somewhat. I think there's probably better differential picks you can pick further down, which we'll discuss. But if you're really being risky, I don't think a lot of people in your mini league will be banking on Arsenal. So like a Pepe, I won't recommend like an Aubameyang, but maybe one of the cheaper options like a Smith Rowe or Saka could do you a bit of benefit bringing them in. But like I said, if we'll get onto a few other teams, you've probably got a better chance of some differentials further down as we get there. Brighton, I wouldn't be jumping on at all, especially. We think we need to bear in mind for these last set of fixtures as well, the crowds that will be at the home fixtures. So especially because Brighton are away, you'd hope Arsenal get a bit of encouragement from the fans. So maybe Arsenal, but not much out of there. Then Aston Villa against Chelsea. I can't see there being a lot of goals in this game. Chelsea, of course, need to win the game to get Champions League football. So I expect them to play similar to how they have since Thomas Tuchel has come in. Quite defensive. There's only going to be a few goals between it. They could win it like 2-0, but I don't see there being a huge amount of goals in there. I don't mind Chelsea defenders in this, but the attacking assets are just a nightmare to guess with the rotation and consistency. So again, I think I'll be steering clear of this fixture because we need to be maximising places where we can get valuable FPL points and differential points that could actually work for us. So we move straight on to then Fulham against Newcastle, which I think Newcastle do offer the potential of differentials. I think since they had Alan Saint-Maximin back in the team, they've got to look better, but he also got injured in the last game, which destroyed my differential pick for the last week. But I do like Willock still for Newcastle. You could even make an argument for a defender here because you'd hope that both keep finishing against Fulham because Fulham are gone, unless they're encouraged by their fans. But yeah, definitely Willock, if you haven't got him in already, is a very cheap option and it just keeps scoring at the minute. But based on the fact that we don't know the extent of Saint-Maximin's injury, you'd always expect Willock to be playing. I know previously he's come off the bench, but his form is kind of just forced his way into the starting lineup at this point, so I expect him to start and do quite well again. So he'd be the one I'd be targeting from there. Outside of that, like I said, if you really want to go for a Joel Linton, then fair play, but I'm not highly recommending it. I'm sure there's a few better guaranteed point scorers that we can get further down as well. So speaking of hopefully guaranteed points for us here, this Leeds against West Brom fixture, I'd probably highlight as probably one of the best fixtures here to get you points, because we've seen how Leeds have been. I think again a factor here will be with the crowd, because you need to factor in that Leeds have come into the Premier League. They've not had fans in the whole season, and this will be like a celebration of the season for them. And I expect them to hopefully play how they have the whole of the season and just good attacking football. So I can see quite a few goals with this in this for Leeds. West Brom might nick one, but I still think there's a huge upside for some of these Leeds assets. I'd even go as far as Dallas in defence, because if they do keep a clean sheet, obviously that's a bonus, but Dallas is basically playing up front half the time, but now more like a winger or in the midfield. So he's definitely one to be looking out for. Bamford did very well in the last game. He'd been through a bit of a rough patch, but he finally seemed to get his form back, which helped me a good deal, keeping faith in him there. And again, he's got the fixture to do it here. And then you've got quite a few decent midfield options, stand out being Rafinha and Harrison, depending on how you feel between the two. I feel like Harrison's gone a bit under the radar, and I think Rafinha seems to do all the right things, but then it doesn't always convert into FPL points. But he's quite likely to be involved in some kind of the build-up. It just depends if he gets the assist to the assist or actually gets the assist, or if like Bamford just misses when he squares it to him or something. He seems to dodge points quite well, Rafinha, but every few games he can get a big haul. So if I'm looking at a set of fixtures, I'd say if you haven't got 3 leads, that's a big area that you could improve on, with Dallas, Bamford being your best options in defence and attack, and then your choice of midfielders. I won't particularly go for Misley because he got rotated in the last fixture, so you're not sure on him. I'm not sure if he's got an injury or if that was just to give the goalkeeper a game. But yeah, definitely Leeds. I think I'll be putting top of my list at this point to have 3 in there. Excuse me. So then we go to Leicester against Spurs, which I think, if this wasn't last game of the season and Leicester needed a few goals, I think this would be quite a tight game. But I actually expect this to be quite a high scoring game, which I'm hoping that, because Leicester really need to go for this. The 4 goals behind Liverpool on goal difference is highly unlikely they'll get Champions League. But if they're going to get Champions League, they realistically need to score 6 or 7 goals. So I expect them to not sit back like this against Chelsea. I expect Iheanacho to play, Vardy to play. They need other attacking assets they can have in this game. They need to go for goals. So I think like an Iheanacho and that are a decent option for this fixture. Even a Vardy. I'd probably stay clear of that midfield because they're a bit inconsistent, but definitely I'd say attack for both teams in this game. Because obviously if Leicester are going for the goals, it's going to leave the counter-attack open for Spurs as well, which kind of runs into like a Son kind of favour. I'm not convinced Bale will play in this fixture because, like I said, Leicester are a decent team and Bale seems to play against the easier teams. But you can't go far wrong with your Son and your Kane. It could be Kane's last game for Spurs, so he needs to make a point. And maybe still the golden boot from Salah, which is also a thing we need to consider here, that Kane and Salah are joined for the golden boot, so there's added impetus for both of those players to try and score in this last set of fixtures, which gives you another interesting dynamic. But I expect, I hope it'll be a good scoring game this. I could see it being, I hate to even estimate what it could be. I'm hoping Leicester will go for it and it might end up like 4-2 to Leicester or something. I don't expect them to make up that goal difference, but I expect them to have a decent go. You've got to go for it, really. Don't expect them to be benching Iheanacho like I did against Chelsea. But yeah, attacking assets in there. I wouldn't be adverse to, if you're looking for a differential captain, I can't see a lot of people going for it in Iheanacho. Even Kane, to a certain extent, they might not go for based on the fixture. But I feel like there is points in there for both attacking assets in that fixture. So I'm hoping that'll be one of the best games this week. So then we move to Liverpool Crystal Palace. Like I just mentioned, basically Liverpool just need to win this game to secure top four. It's highly unlikely Leicester will catch them. So I expect it to be quite a comfortable win for Liverpool. I expect it like 2-0 or 3-0, very similar to the Burnley game. Palace, basically on the beach, they scored in the last fixture, but there's no need for Palace to really even compete in this game. They'll put 10 men behind the ball, might get Nick Holcomb set piece, but I expect it quite comfortable for Liverpool. Unless Leicester come out with a 10-0 win against Spurs, they're not going to be realistically in trouble here, Liverpool. So I expect them to cruise to a victory here. So, as I mentioned, just about the Golden Boot as well, so that should boost Salah to be looking to score as many goals as he can. Obviously, him and Kane are both on penalties as well, which gives them that added value there. I'd say outside of Salah, I'm not overly keen on Firmino. I can imagine why people would take a bet on Firmino or Mane in this, but I think if you've got Salah, that gives you good coverage for the attack. I do like the defence at the minute. Obviously, Trent has been the best option for the last few weeks, minus last week. But Phillips at the back gives a great value pick as well if you're looking for a more cheaper option, because I know if you go for Trent, it's quite difficult to upgrade to him without moving someone out if you haven't got money in the bank. But I'd say you could even double up on defence there, because Crystal Palace, they can always get a goal, Palace, but I'll be backing Liverpool to do quite well in this, and have kind of looked decent defensively, not unreal. I've seen Williams keeps getting done quite a lot of the time with a long ball down the side, but I can't imagine, unless it's Zaha, there's going to be a lot of danger, like Benteke is going to make that kind of run for Palace. So I back the Liverpool assets in defence. I'm not guaranteeing if you go for Alisson, he's going to score another header, but that's a different story, you never know. But yeah, Liverpool, you've got to be going for them. Like we said, 3 leads. If you've not got 3 Liverpool as well, you should really have had them in for the past weeks as well, because of such an easy run they've had. So definitely triple up on those. So we'll move to Man City against Everton, which again is one of those fixtures that firstly, I can't predict who City are going to play, and then secondly, I'd expect City to win, but they've been conceding a lot of goals. So I don't think this is a game for defenders. City might get a defender, but good luck picking who was actually going to play in the first place. So you'll have great difficulty. So I'll be avoiding this fixture. If you've got an Everton attacking asset, like a DCL, it's not the worst punt, but I think there's probably better options you could be using. I'd argue Iheanacho is a lot better option than DCL in this week, because City, even though they're conceding, they might put a good strength team out, so they've got practice ready for the UCL final, because they've got about a week gap. So it's a difficult one to call. So I wouldn't be going for any of their assets in this game if you've not got them in your team already. If you're having to deal with a DCL in your team, then depends on the rest of your team if you play them or not. I wouldn't be transferring new players in for this fixture at all. So we move to Sheffield United against Burnley, which I always look to target Sheffield United, but they can put in a shift from games. If this was the other way around and Burnley was at home, I'd be backing Burnley assets all the way, especially Chris Wood, because he's on like the form of his life, really, at the end of this season. So I'm not adverse if you've got a Chris Wood to be playing them. It's kind of a differential as well. If you want to go all the way and captain him, I can't imagine a huge amount of teams will have Chris Wood or equivalent to Burnley. If you want a Vidra or a Barnes, you're just kind of betting on who's going to start. You know Wood's pretty nailed on to start. Outside of that, kind of fishing a bit. I do like McNeil in midfield, but it depends if he's involved again. So I won't be looking past Chris Wood in this fixture really. So if you're not getting any other transfers to make and you've got an injury or you're looking for a striker change, Chris Wood's not a bad bet here. But I'd argue there's a higher upside by getting in a Bamford, as we've discussed further up with Leeds. So Chris Wood is in the list of potential strikers you could bring in, but wouldn't be my first choice. It'd definitely be in the top 3, but not number 1. So it depends on your situation, your team, but it gives you a good option there if you're looking to bring someone in. So we go to West Ham against Southampton again, which I think similar to slightly different between like a Leeds and a Leicester. So West Ham they actually only need a point to secure Europa League football, and they're at home where the fans haven't been for quite a while. So you would hope that would spur them on quite well. And Southampton haven't got anything to play for, so another one team to target here would be West Ham. So we've mentioned Leeds and Liverpool. West Ham again, double or triple up on West Ham seems like the go-to here. So we saw Antonio get his points right at the end of the last game, so he's always a great option. I think Antonio is a better option than Lingard when you look at them when they're playing together. Lingard got a lot of his points when Antonio wasn't in the team. Now they're both in the team. Antonio has seemed to got more points. It kind of takes away some of Lingard's attacking potential, having that out and out striker in the team. But Lingard's still a decent asset to have. I'd even go as far in defence like Kufal or someone is a very good option. So there's probably one in each position you'd be going for in this game week. So I'd be saying Kufal, Lingard and Antonio are all great options. Again, depending on how your team's set up, tripling up on West Ham is a good way to go again here. So if you've got triple Leeds, triple Liverpool and triple West Ham in this set of fixtures, I think you're in a good place. Obviously you don't have the spread across all the fixtures, but you've got the potential to maximise on some of those games that you'd hope would be one-sided to the home team. Like I said, Southampton haven't got a lot of play for. I'd be steering clear of Southampton for this fixture. And moving on to the final fixture, which again I would probably be staying quite well clear of. So the issue I have mainly with this is the Man United team that they will play. They've got the Europa League. I think it's 3 days or 4 days. I think it's 3 days after this fixture, Europa League final. So I just can't see them risking certain players in this game. Using all his logic, he'll probably play his full team, but there's no way he should be risking Bruno and everything in this game. Keep them on the bench if you want to go for the win at the end of the game, but in my mind, you can't be risking your top players in this. They should really be playing a lineup similar to what they played in the Leicester game. Obviously, it sacrifices them probably getting the 3 points, but there's nothing in this game for Man United. They've got bigger fish to fry in the next fixture in the Europa League. That's what they need to close out. So if they win that, if they get second and win Europa League, that's a successful season for them. If they don't win the Europa League, they're not really going to say it's successful at all. So they need to prioritise that. Wolves don't offer great value at all. Even if United put a reserve team out, they could still score. We saw they basically played youngsters in that Leicester game and had Greenwood who still scored. So again, it'll be a void fixture for me here. So I think there's probably half there to avoid and then half to target as we've discussed through them. So if we just review over some of them in terms of a captaincy pick. So it's probably looking at those fixtures that I mentioned that they triple up on. So Leeds, Liverpool and West Ham. I'd probably favour a Liverpool or a Leeds to West Ham. It's just personal preference. And I think if you go for a differential, Leeds is a nice one because you'd hope they would do quite well in that West Brom fixture. So even a Dallas would be quite a differential pick, I think, because he could get an attacking return in there. Might scrape a clean sheet. It's always high risk, high reward on a defender. You'll remember back into mid-season where John Stones came in with like 20-point haul. So if you captain him in that week, could be incredible, even though it was a double game week. But there's a huge upside and then downside because you could just get a 1-pointer, but if you're in that place in your mini league, you might have to take that risk, so go for it. But if you're going for the most obvious choice for captain this week is if you're going for minimising impact of anyone else, you have to be going for Salah. There's no way Salah won't be the top captain player in this game week. Just going for the golden boot. Liverpool need to win. He's just been the highest scorer in multiple seasons. One of the most the highest point scoring FPL asset we've probably had for in quite a while, definitely in recent seasons. So Salah will be the most captained. I wouldn't be adverse to captaining Trent, but like I said, the defence is quite high risk, high reward. As I mentioned, that Leicester Tottenham fixture, I wouldn't be adverse to captaining someone in that fixture because I expect I'd be captaining attacking assets. Don't go anywhere near defenders because I expect it's quite open and it'll be a decent game. So maybe if you're going for a differential, you'd be going for a Leeds or a Leicester in there. If you want to stay to the normal, Salah is such an obvious pick, and you probably need to. Most people will probably pick Salah so they don't suffer from the rank decrease that they'll get from not having him in there. But other than that, I'm looking forward to all these fixtures to be on at the same time. It's what we need, I think. Even when you have like 3 or 4 at 3 o'clock on a normal week, it's just a bit more added excitement in my opinion. So it'd be nice to see them all at the same time. But as I said, last video of the season, I wish you all luck in the last final push to get that rank boost, and I appreciate everyone who has tuned into the videos. Like I say on most videos, please just like and subscribe, they're both free. It really helps the channel out and I really appreciate it. So I expect this will be the last video we will do for at least a few weeks, maybe like a month or so, because we'll be going into the off season. But during that time, we'll be looking at some prep videos and kind of tips ready setting up for the new season, giving you some recommendations and how to build your first draft basically going into the new season, which hopefully will be useful to you guys. And make sure to have notifications on to make sure you're ready for when those videos come out. But I also said at the start of this video to check out Twitter. It's always the best place to keep updated on there. But yeah, apart from that, I appreciate everyone for watching and good luck in the last week. And it's been a topsy-turvy FPL, but I think we'll all look back at it and remember it quite fondly and how different it's been, and we probably won't experience a season like this again, but it's been good fun and I've enjoyed the ride with you all, and I will speak to you on the next video. Have a good rest of your evening, day or morning, whatever it is. See you later.